In 1975, the town of Teaneck, New Jersey, had 43,000 people. The residents were a comfortable driving distance away from New York City, but felt far enough away from the Big Apple that crime couldn't touch them. But the murder of a family that same year changed everything. This is the story of the Diggs family murders. Let's step into the cold. No one heard or saw a thing that cold December night. Those who lived in the houses surrounding 266 Carlton Terrace lay fast asleep in their beds. The children who lived on the street were eagerly awaiting Christmas, which was fast approaching. But their friends that lived in the brick and stucco family home at number 266 would not get to experience another Christmas. Between the hours of 11:30 p.m. on the 5th of December and 2 a.m. on the 6th of December, 1975, Jean Diggs and her 4 children were murdered. Wesley Diggs arrived at his family's home around 4 p.m. on December 6th. Despite having a wife and 4 children, Wesley spent most of his time in NYC. His bar, Diggs' Den, was located in Harlem on 145th Street, and this, coupled with his interest in at least 3 other bars, was his reason for being apart from his family. As he entered the home, the only noise he could hear was the sound coming from a TV in an upstairs bedroom. Wesley was the one who discovered that his family had been murdered. Wesley's 39-year-old wife, Jean, was found slumped on a bench in the basement rec room. She had been shot once in the head and the chest. Wesley's 2 sons, 12-year-old Wesley Jr. and 5-year-old Roger, lay dead in their bunk beds. Both boys had been shot several times. Audrey, aged 17, had been shot 5 times in the head. She was found in her bedroom on the 2nd floor. Finally, the body of 16-year-old Allison was found in her attic bedroom, sprawled across her bed. She had been shot twice. Wesley Sr. never returned to the house. There was no sign of a struggle and no sign of forced entry. Nothing had been taken from the house and there were no signs of sexual assault. Each family member had been shot with a .22 caliber automatic pistol. At the time, it was reported that the police had found 17 spent .22 caliber shells, but the weapon itself has never been found. No trace of DNA evidence was found. When he heard about the murders, Teaneck Police Detective Richard Kaczynski cancelled his imminent vacation to Florida. He would end up spending around 300 hours investigating the murder of the Diggses. Teaneck residents were left reeling in shock from the murders. As the Teaneck police dealt with the investigation, state troopers patrolled the streets. Teaneck had, of course, dealt with crime in the past, but they were usually minor ones. Teaneck citizens had always felt they were at a safe distance from crimes they usually associated with the Big Apple. But now murder had found its way to Teaneck. Wesley Sr. cooperated with the investigation. He'd last seen his family on the morning of December 5th, when he left New Jersey for NYC. He spent the night in the city with friends and returned to Teaneck in the late afternoon of the following day, which was when he found the bodies. He voluntarily took part in a lie detector test, and the results suggested that he was no murderer. He told investigators that he had had several affairs and spent most of his time in NYC. But the police felt that Wesley Sr. wasn't completely forthcoming with information. They suspected that he probably knew why his family was dead. Detective Kaczynski was sure that the murders were avenged by someone that Wesley Sr. had crossed. The Diggses had always been a well-liked family in town. They were respected. At that time, African Americans made up 16% of Teaneck's population. The Diggses became the first African American family to live on Carlton Terrace, part of an upper-middle-class neighbourhood, when they moved there from Harlem in 1970. Jean, an Avon lady, was described as a lovely person and a happy mother. The children had friends in the neighbourhood. No one wanted to believe that such a pleasant family had been wiped out. Teaneck resident James McManus summed up the town's feelings when he told the New York Times, "This makes you wonder whether there is any place safe left in the United States. It makes me doubt there is. You'd think there is a madman at large." With very little evidence gathered from the crime scene, attempts were made to link the murders of the Diggses to two separate murders in NYC. The Apollo Theatre in Harlem became a crime scene when 18-year-old Darrell Scullock was shot dead there. Investigators learned that there had recently been an incident at Wesley's bar, Diggs' Den. Scullock had been asked to leave the bar due to his involvement in the incident. Then, on December 10th, 38-year-old Stanley Morgan was shot dead by two men using .22 caliber guns in the Shalimar Lounge, located about a mile from Diggs' Den. Morgan, a well-known heroin dealer in the city, had also visited one of Wesley's bars in the weeks before his death. At the time, Bergen County Prosecutor Joseph C. Woodcock Jr. said that checks were being made to see if the same weapon was used in both crimes. No official link was ever found between any of these murders. The funerals of Jean and her children took place that same month. 1,000 mourners watched as 5 hearses brought the coffins to the Presbyterian Church of Teaneck. Reverend Robert Chase officiated. He had only been in his role since the start of December. 40 classmates of the 2 eldest children were ushers, forming a cordon on the walk in front of the church. As the service took place, the church was at full capacity. An adjoining room broadcasting the service on a TV was packed. Many more stood outside the church as a sign of respect. Wesley read the individual eulogies for each family member. He had penned them himself. Jean and her children were buried next to each other at the George Washington Memorial Park in Paramos. Wesley never stepped inside 266 Carlton Terrace again. He sold the house the following year. Heartbroken at the loss of his family, he asked President Ford to send in the FBI, but his request was denied. He was critical of the way the media portrayed him and those he knew. Wesley moved to Manhattan, where he fathered a daughter in 1981. He lived out the remainder of his years there, dying of a heart attack in October 1987. He was buried in the family plot. Teaneck has never forgotten those who were lost that winter's night in 1975. Due to Audrey's love of sports at Teaneck High, the Audrey Diggs Memorial Award is presented at the yearly high school sports dinner and is given to a senior female athlete. In the past, the high school also gave a graduating senior a monetary Diggs Memorial Scholarship. A memorial marker at Teaneck High reads, "In Memoriam, the Diggs family. Love is eternal." Thank you for watching this episode of Into the Cold. Subscribe for new videos every week. I wish you pleasant nightmares.